Zo Loft and get your head right.
Well, all right. What's up, Head Right homies? Welcome to the Zo Loft, your Head Right Hangout. I hope y'all are off to a very groovy Monday, and the rest of your week just keeps on getting even better after that, man. All right, so and bear with me, y'all, because I'm trying to get to a regular groove here, y'all. So and thank you for even wanting and for even being interested to know what time I'd be going on. I'm trying to get into a regular schedule, so. We can go ahead and party, man. And, I know you guys want to be, you nerds, you guys want to be right on time for the party. It's like, man, don't you remember what it is to be fashionably late? Well, she's fashionably late, right? So anyway, but hey, I appreciate you wanting to be on time for a Zo Loft party. Ain't no party like a Zo Loft party. Well, we got to stop sometime and, take a break or whichever. So all that to say, let's go ahead and get into, I guess what's popping, man? What's popping in the news circle? I guess what's popping is our girl Shiloh.
Yep.
Shiloh. Yeah. Shiloh Hendrix, man. And like I said in the description, she the next darling, man. She the next big darling with the white Republican voters since the Haktua hoe. So it's like they like this one. They like her. They must like her. I guess she done a Give Send Go. They put a Give Send Go campaign together, and she wanted $50,000, and she passed like 600,000. She set a new goal.
663.
It's over $600,000. She wants to go for $1 million, right? And why is this happening? This is happening because a video went viral of I guess maybe a Somalian American, quote unquote, right? So might be here under nefarious pretenses, and got him on a record. He had Nasty Man as well. So both of them are hypocrites.
Yes.
Okay, both of them trashy hypocrites. But as it is, this dude is gonna try to call her out for being immoral or whichever, because I guess she didn't drop the N-word. She dropped the N-word against this kid. But her response is lacks class. She got about, as the saying goes, she got about as much class as a school on Saturday, right? So she's got no class, man, and she's a trashy woman, okay? But this dude is gonna sit her and try to call her out on being immoral for her dropping the N-word.
Yeah.
And so, but the sad part of it is, man, is that this woman is being rewarded for what it is that she's doing. She raised this money on Give Send Go, and that's more for I guess it's supposed to be a Christian founded crowdfunding site, and like your right leaning types, and I say this. It's heartbreaking to say, because me being, as I guess Matt Walsh would say, a person who fashions himself as a conservative, but I reckon a vetted conservative nonetheless. A vetted conservative, more importantly, a Christian conservative Republican myself. But what's going on with the Republican voters as of late, as the past several years, has really been an embarrassment to me. And I get it. I'm probably an embarrassment to them, and that's probably why they've shut me out. That's fine. But this right here, man, that this woman can go and raise upwards of $600,000 for dropping the N-word, and because she doesn't feel safe now, she needs to move.
Yeah.
And y'all gonna give her money. Okay. One, you people suck. Two, all of a sudden she doesn't feel safe. Y'all, I doubt very seriously this is the first time she ever used the N-word around black people, right? I doubt it's the first time. Now all of a sudden she did. Yeah, in typical fashion, this wave of Republicans, this era of the Republican Party, it's like they got a fetish for getting played. You're getting played again. The same way y'all got played with what's that girl in New York?
Oh, yeah.
With the bike.
The healthcare worker.
Yeah, the healthcare worker. And here they come to her rescue. We've got your back, honey. And they want to give her all this moral support and stuff like that.
Because some black kids took her bike or something.
Right. It's like, they're like Birth of a Nation. That's the new Republican Party now. They're Birth of a Nation. Now we're coming to save you from those hostile, violent Negroes or just menace troublemakers, right? That's who they are. It's like y'all and Woodrow Wilson would get along great. You know, that's this new wave of Republicans now, right? So, but yeah, they came to the rescue of this woman in New York, you know, who was it's New York, right? A New York healthcare worker, which means that she was probably a vaxocrat.
Absolutely.
Right? A fully vaxxed up Democrat who played y'all. Right? Y'all came to her rescue. Why? Because she was a white woman being accosted by black people. She's most likely a Democrat who voted for all this stuff that these people feel enabled to do. All right? But you came to her rescue. Way to go. Right? And you guys people wonder why people think the parties have switched sides. Okay? And in the case of this woman right here, Shiloh. Okay, Shiloh. Like I said, probably ain't the first time she dropped the N-word around black folks. And number two, she's probably a Democrat herself. She's most likely a Democrat, right? But here come the Republican voters with their shut up and take my money, right? It's hilarious, man. It's laughable. I'm telling you, man, this era of Republican voters is so freaking pathetic to me, man. It's I have to laugh about it to not cry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then the responses to this. You know, I see what goes viral is when, you know, you're going to have the white Republicans taught out, you know, their token Negroes, you know, who give the response that they like. You know, they want to hear from the token Negroes. They're going to say, what's the big deal about why is everybody making such a big deal about this person using the N-word? It's just a word, you know, and that's what the white Republican voters want to hear, you know, black folks say.
The white content creators have been saying that all day, that it's just a word. It's a vulgar word. It shouldn't be said in polite company, but it's just a word. It's just a word. Okay, if it's just a word, then you should shut the hell up. That's all I got to say about that, man. Really? I mean, no, I got a lot more to say. But that's all that needs to be said. Shut up. If words don't mean anything, you should shut the hell up because your words don't mean anything. Okay? Any word that you want to use. Stop it with this stupid idea that's just a word. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, number one, the word of God says life and death is in the power of the tongue. You can be constructive or you can be destructive with your words. To say that it's just a word or any word is just a word is stupid. Okay, so we have, and the Lord himself refers to himself as the word. He's the word, he's the law, he's the instruction. Okay, to say that words don't mean anything is dumb. We need words. We communicate, communicate ideas, feelings, and all that sort of stuff with words. Okay. Now, some words, there are words that are cursed, and the N word is a word that is cursed, that is rooted deep. You know, it's an abyss. There's nothing even for it to be rooted in. It's just something that is it's a word that is deep evil. All right. To say that it's just a word, it's like that word is used in making millions of dollars, billions of dollars, actually. You got these people who just go out and they say this word, and say it like it really is worth money. And in a lot of instances, it is. Okay. So it's people out there talking about it's just a word, it's just a word. Then why the crap do people use it so much? Like it actually has value. If it's just a word and it doesn't mean anything, then stop freaking saying it. But I don't think that's what's happening. See, here's the thing about the Zo Loft, y'all. You ain't going to get this kind of commentary on this. You ain't going to get any better. Everybody else's I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Everybody else's commentary, perspective, and philosophies on this stuff is freaking stupid, and it doesn't help anything. Has it gotten any better? Have you guys seen anything get better? No, because you listen to this mainstream perspective on this stuff that only feeds the problem. It doesn't help it. Not one bit. It only helps it get worse. You ain't gonna hear what I got to say. Is it you gonna hear this go viral? Hell no, because it's actually useful. And these people don't want this problem fixed. They're just waiting their turn to be able to weigh in on it, to make themselves like they got something to say and that their brand should be followed for weighing in on the issue. They don't really want it freaking solved. All right, but the N-word, y'all using the N-word. Listen. As far as the black community is going, and y'all know I've said this for years, but you ain't gonna know, but at least a lot of these people, y'all know about it. Thank you guys that you tune in. You guys know what I've said about it. You ain't gonna hear this in the mainstream because it's useful, right? But you in black culture, been using the N-word. Number one, they look at me
like I'm some Uncle Tom sellout, while they use the language of bigoted white people, particularly the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party that did not want blacks to be able to read, not want them to vote, not want, basically second-class citizens. So out of a lazy effort, of recognizing that, as black folks were Negroes, Negro is not a bad word. Okay, it's just in romantic languages, it just refers to black. Okay, so Negro is not a bad word, but you're gonna have like some bigots turn the word into an epithet, modify it a little bit, and that's where you get the word, the N word, right? So you get that, and it was a word to make sure that you black people, you know your place. All right, that's what it was for. All right, so now in making sure that black folks have this status, this word that was specifically forged out of hell to use against black people, and it's not a stretch to say, y'all, because hey, when the Democrats founded the Confederacy, their inspiration was when they made that flag, one of their national flags that included the Confederate battle flag in a white field. The inspiration for that was the heaven ordained supremacy of the white man over the Negro. Okay, we want to make sure that black folks know their place as far as the Democrat Party was concerned, and in doing so, you're going to have this word designed just for black folks that black folks like to continue on to this very day, and they want to call me the one trying to be white. It's like you guys have used a word and it's been forged by bigoted white people, and y'all use that against each other, and you've made that a staple of your culture. Right, and then you want to try to be mad because somebody you put if white folks be bumping that music too, right? They be bumping that. It's like I see like white people roll around, and it's like almost like they look like, I'm so cool. I'm listening to music that uses the N-word in it repeatedly. I'm like, you're a jackass. Black folks listen to that music are jackasses too. I don't care, right? But black folks gonna act like they'll have a nerve to be mad because a white person is singing along to the "Kill the N-word" song. And then as a white person uses a word that they made in the first place. It ain't your word, black folks, it's theirs. Right? Bigoted white folks made this word and use this word, and you want to use it as a staple in your lexicon. It is a good job. Right? It sounds more like you have a fetish for acting white than anybody else. Okay? And you got white Republicans out there enjoying people using this kind of language. From Dave Chappelle to freaking the Hodge twins. You're like, oh, use the N-word again. I love it. Right? It's like, if you want this race issue to go away, you should discourage yourself. Say, you know what, dude? We don't need that stuff, man. You already got your content's already funny and all that sort of stuff. But, get rid of that, dude. We're so tired of this. And you don't seem to understand. You don't seem to understand that a lot of the race issue hinges on that word that you guys think is just a word, right? And because you think that, it's just going to keep getting worse, right? Until you realize and say, like, you know what, dude? We don't. If you want to keep using that word, we're just going to tune out, right? We're just going to tune out. But y'all ain't going to do that. You're not going to do it. You're not going to tell them, dude, knock it off with that, man. We got enough freaking problems. Not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? So. But you got these people, man, that they're gonna reward this, Shiloh Hendrix for dropping that word, and like for me, and here's the sad part of it is that, this era of Republican voters, and I can tell a lot of people don't like what I'm saying because I'm watching my view count go down, right? It started off at like almost like 20, it's down like 7 now. Because they want to be justified in using the word. It's like, no, don't take that word away from us. Don't take it away from us. I love my First Amendment rights. And in my First Amendment rights, I want to be able to say the N-word. We need to go back to the days of Blazing Saddle. Remember when you could say that and nobody would be offended? No, those are the eras where it's like, black people just kind of had to smile and go along with it. Right? Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of that. Just to try to make it through the day, having to laugh along with what white people found funny about, about these things, and don't get me wrong, you got a lot of black folks who did think it was funny. A lot of them was just like, yeah, okay, whatever floats your boat, Just get out of my way and just let me do my. While you guys are distracted laughing at stuff like that, let me just go ahead and try to get my cheddar, okay? You know what somebody's saying?
So I've heard content creators who are not shadow banned, who are free to say what they want to say, when they want to say it, and how they want to say it. I've heard this main theme today that they're saying it's the end of white guilt.
Okay.
Wait, but I do have a question. If white Republicans were feeling guilty, since they're saying that this is the end of white guilt, does that mean that they allow the Democrats to make them feel guilty about something?
Basically, yeah. I mean, this era of Republicans, they have no idea how controlled they are by the Democrat Party. They don't even know, right? And it wasn't like, the Republican Party was like on this white guilt tripping, and they shouldn't have been. The whole white guilt thing there are white people who should feel guilty. They're called Democrats. But see, the Republican Party, they've done this to themselves by being in denial about white people having to be guilty of anything. And that's why the Democrats have been able to get away with what they do for so long. That's why. Because Republicans have acted like it never existed. America's exceptional, and there's no racism, and there's no white privilege, and there's no systemic racism and all that sort of stuff. Yes, there is, because there's Democrats. But like I said, the Democrats, they formed the KKK, which is the invisible empire. And the KKK said, man, we're going to get into everything. We're going to trade in these white robes for black ones. We're going to get into everything. This thing that the Republicans call the deep state, that's the invisible empire.
Yes.
Right? And Republicans don't even know it. They don't even know. And they don't know what they give to Democrats to be able to, they help the Democrats stay invisible. How do they do that? By saying white supremacy doesn't exist. What do you think the Democrat Party was and is? Right? Systemic racism doesn't exist. What do you think the Democrats have been doing? They run everything. Right? And they're the ones who are going around, as I've long said, while the Democrats are going around all the time saying, this is racist, you're racist, that's racist. It's like, well, why is there so much racism when you guys run everything? Y'all run everything. Of course, if there's racism in it, it's because you put it in there. All right? But Republicans are like, no, there isn't. That's just ridiculous. And they help the Democrats stay invisible. That's how they're able to keep doing the evil that they do. Not only do they help them stay invisible, they support them. Like this Shiloh girl. Take my money. She called him the N-word. And for her, and to protect her what's the word I'm looking for? Her sanctity, to protect her white sanctification, we need to send her an offering. We need to send her money and get her out of there. Get her away from those black people. That's your Republican Party now.
Can we talk about the fact that the black people she's around are Somalis? And from my own personal experience, I am not saying this because I don't have any experience with me and my female family members who live in Minnesota, where there's a large Somali population. If you are a woman of any color, you should not feel safe.
Yeah.
They give you reason not to feel safe.
But did they give you a reason to vote the way that y'all?
Right. And they just keep voting for this.
Do it to yourselves.
Yep.
So with this, like I said, this woman must be a Democrat. Y'all living out there.
Most likely.
Or and your family is, more on the conservative leaning side.
Yep.
You are definitely the most conservative person in your family.
Yeah.
Right? And that's saying a lot because, her family is pretty much, Republican voting. But seriously, I'm not saying that because I'm biased. She really is the most conservative in the family, even probably more so than me. And that's saying a lot.
It's the Bible.
That's right. It's the word of God, baby. That's what you got. That's what you got to base your conservatism on. If you ain't, it ain't really conservatism.
Yep.
It's just not. So this woman is raising this money on Give, Send, Go. And to give you an example of how sad it is, man, you guys know that I've been trying to get a sci-fi sword made. Disney hasn't even figured out how to do this. Well, I figured out how to do it, right? I know how to do it. And you would figure, it's like people have been waiting for that almost like 50 years now, I think. Been waiting for that lightsaber. I don't call mine a lightsaber, it's a sci-fi sword, so you can use it for whatever sci-fi, experience you want to use it for. right? But that has that kind of more of that movie feel, man, where you don't have to unscrew the bulb on it and stuff like that, or you extend it, but you got to pound it back. No, mine is automatically extends and it automatically retracts, just like in the movie, and all the bells and whistles and all that sort of stuff. I figured out how to do it, man. I had one, you know. And it's working. The reason why, if anybody asks, well, how come you haven't made another one? The reason why I haven't made another one is because when I was in LA, there was a place called Century Springs. Okay, Century Springs had a showroom, where you could go in and you could pick out a whole bunch of springs. Now, none of the strings were exactly what I needed, but I was able to at least put together a crude prototype with them. They had enough of a variety where I could pull that off. And so the springs, they really have to fit very specifically. And then from there, I had to, they had to be able to fit in with the dimensions. I was able, like, if I go and get some PVC pipe and stuff like that, I'm able to put together a series of PVC pipe and do it, and then fit in these springs with it. Well, that showroom is gone, and spring companies don't tend to have a showroom. You got to go online and you got to find what they might have available, and the selection isn't as robust as one would think. Okay. And so when you try to put in, certain tolerances and all that sort of stuff in these dimensions, it's not as simple to do. But like I said, I was able to go into what was Century Springs and put together, a series of springs that would work. And long story short, y'all, that's why I haven't made another crude prototype, because that kind of showroom is just not available. I was local, and also I was local there. Okay, in the LA area. So also the other reason why I haven't pursued, and so I'm still pursuing, I'm still trying to get it done, y'all, but any developer that I had talked to, their answer is, okay, I've got a connection in China, and it's all, you have to do it through China. And I'm like, no, we don't. And if you insist that you don't have to do it in China, they don't want to talk to you anymore. And that's why I haven't gotten it done. Okay, it's to have a person develop it and get it tooled for manufacturing. They don't even want to talk to you unless you want to do it through China. So that's why. And I'm talking, I even people who I know who do stuff like that, who are conservatives, right? All Republican, red, white, and blue, patriot, conservatives and stuff like that. I would to go have them be developers for it or get it going ready for manufacturing. They won't do it. They'll just blow you off if you don't want to do it through China. And that's really sad. It's like, I see no reason why this can't be done in the US of A, man. We could do it. They won't even talk to me. So that's been another reason why I haven't, accomplished it. It's a simple idea, y'all, but the parts have to fit very specifically and all that sort of stuff. And, I don't have like a CNC shop and, the tooling to be able to do that kind of stuff. At any rate, y'all, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I went on to Give, Send, Go to say, hey, I worked it out, y'all. I got this a sci-fi sword. You guys want to help me? Like, we can get this injection molded and forged and all that sort of stuff. You guys want to help me with a budget, and we can go ahead and get it developed and do it here in the US of A? You want to do it? Hardly anybody answered. A couple people responded, and it's heartbreaking because some people, like, they came in, they helped, and it just went, eep. It's like it vanished. It wasn't even visible on Give, Send, Go anymore, right? And y'all, like I said, this is something that people have been waiting on since the 70s. People still waiting for it. They well into their adulthood now. They say, dude, I still want that thing. We still want that lightsaber, right? But hardly anybody came in to support, on this website, on this platform that is supposed to be friendly to Christians and conservatives. All right, well, I was there, but no, nothing for that. But over $600,000 for this woman who called somebody the N-word. Yeah. Think of that. Can you imagine what a gut punch that is? A kick in the teeth, a slap in the face. My career, y'all, has basically been shot to hell defending conservative values, defending America, standing up, more importantly, for the word of God. Doing that. And it got me exiled. But this person could come on there, and here come these Republicans with their money waving. I'm going to give her $600,000. Maybe she might even reach her $1 million.
Probably.
And she's most likely, like I said, she's most likely a Democrat. But they'll go to her and support her first before they would support somebody like me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, maybe if some white, person, maybe even a white Democrat, had the design that I have for the sci-fi sword to say, hey, I've got the prototype, it works. Here they come, take my money. But no, not you, you black person. You're just one of those violent thugs, and that's the image that this generation, this era of Republicans are. They have an idea of how they want black folks to be seen now. And there's a reason for that, because the white guilt. Democrats have been pushing to make white people feel guilty, and white people are evil, and they've been doing that for a reason, y'all. They've been doing that to make Republican voters resent black people. Right? Remember, y'all, the Republican Party was founded because of black people, right? Because Republicans, the abolitionists, were like, yeah, white privilege is a real thing and it's a problem. White supremacy is a real thing and it's a problem. Systemic racism is a real thing and it's a problem. We're going to put an end to it. And the Republican Party was formed. The Republican Party now is far away from that. All right? And that's what the Democrats have been working to achieve for a long time. All right? And they're achieving it. So now Republicans, white Republicans, they want redemption. And this is why they say this is the end of the era of white guilt. And how we're going to do that is we're going to make black people, we're going to make sure that we showcase at every turn how much of a menace that black people are. We're going to show TikTok videos of them being, and don't get me wrong, y'all, I ain't saying that black people ain't acting crazy. I'm not giving an excuse for anything. Right? Black people out there doing this crazy stuff, man. You do this to yourselves. Right? You do this to yourselves. It's like you want the imagery of that, black folks are intimidating. We're not one to be messed with and stuff like that. And you should fear us. And then you get mad when people fear you and lock their doors when you walk by and you cross the street and you hear the doors lock. You want to, what's up with you, white person? Why you racist and all that? So you'll lock your doors because I'm cross the street. Well, you wanted us to be afraid of you. I thought that's what you wanted. You don't mess with black folks. Don't mess with us, right? We ain't one to be messed with. Okay, well, if you want to be treated like, if you want to come off like you're somebody who's be afraid of, we'll just act like we're afraid of you. And when people are afraid of something, well, they got two objectives. They either want to control what they're afraid of or destroy what they're afraid of. You want to be a culture to be feared, black folks, with your gangster thug lifestyle and all that sort of stuff. You want to do that? Okay, well, then don't be mad when people act like you're not people act like you're something to be feared. Because usually when people fear people, they don't trust them either.
Yeah.
All right? Well, that's what you wanted. You might want to knock it off with that stupid stuff. Okay? But white Republican voters now, that's how, it's like, well, to redeem ourselves, it's unfortunate. It's like, why don't you guys do something beher to redeem yourselves? And so you guys are seeking redemption and trying to point out how bad black folks are. We're just violent thugs. This generation of Republican voters, they're basically whitewashed. All right, that's what's happened to them. Okay, that's the narrative that they have to go with now to make themselves look better. That's some insecure bullshit. You remember the kind of person who, to make themselves look good, they got to put other people down. That's basically what the white Republican Party has become now. To make themselves look like the better white people, we got to go ahead and make sure we put out all these TikTok videos of black people being a menace and YouTube shorts and all this sort of stuff, black people being a menace. And hey, you got it on video, dude. Yeah, getting an argument for me. Yeah, they're acting like a bunch of idiots. And there's a reason for that, y'all. You guys ever notice that the places where you guys find these black people doing this, their areas run by Democrats? They're controlled by white liberal elites, right? Who handpick the black people who are going to run their communities. It's systemic racism, y'all. There's a strategy to this. And it's to make white Republican voters resent black people. They don't resent the string pullers.
No, they don't.
Right? It's not the string. Case in point, didn't y'all just raise a whole bunch of money for this white woman who's most likely a Democrat? I bet she's a Democrat. Right? You don't resent the string pullers. The white liberal elite string pullers. You don't resent them. You resent the black people. Right? The ones at the other end of the strings, the puppets. Just the way the Democrats want it. So you're being played. You're being played by Shiloh. You're being played by the full-on Democrat Party. All of them. All of y'all. Right? Except for y'all who tune into the Zo Loft. You guys know what time it is. Right? But you're a rare, blessed few. You know, so I be doing these things, man. I be doing music. You think mainstream Republicans, they care about that? No, they want to listen to this other trash, you know, that people are doing, you know, and just because they made something that's opposing to, just because you say something opposing to the left doesn't make it conservative. But they fall for all that sort of stuff and they fawn over it. Right? I be doing music, but see the kind of music that I do, since I'm not one of those rap musicians, they can't pigeonhole me. Right? They're in this era where they want to see black people as violent thugs who just makes profane music and all that sort of stuff. I don't fit that, so they don't want to pay any attention to me, right? They can't, in other words, they can't use me to make themselves look better, right? They got to point out those thugs making music and their violent, trashy, you know, profane music and stuff like that. I be making music, man. There's no profanity in it. Right? There's no denigrating of women, you know, and all that sort of stuff. I guess Republicans are getting their fetish on that too, you know, True. Because they're acting like, you know, they're just acting like Democrats. They're becoming chauvinist, you know, and elitist, you know, and whichever, you know, disrespectful towards women too. You know, they're doing it also, you know, and case in point, Hot to a Girl. Yeah, you guys are all, you got a lot of these conservatives out there, they're about objectifying women too. No better than Democrats. More and more of them coming out there. I mean, heck, you know, got a lot of out there who idolize, was it freaking Andrew Tate? Mm-hmm. You know, out there, it's like, y'all about it. You know, this era of so-called Republicans, they're about it, man. And I do music, man, that doesn't showcase that sort of stuff. You think they care? No. Hardly any support. Hardly anybody shares the music that I do. You know, and I'm not going to accept the excuse that, well, Zo, it's because your music sucks, dude. And maybe it does. It probably does suck. But music that sucks sells. Right? Is it garbage? It's like, that's what I hear people saying all the time, right? Man, this music say it's just garbage. It's just garbage. Right? Okay, well, if my music is garbage, then it should do great because garbage sells. Right? As I said before, I don't know anybody who likes Green Day. Nobody. Right? But Green Day is a household name worldwide, right? This music, whether it's Nicki Minaj or these other rock bands or rap bands or R&B or pop or whichever, garbage. World-renowned garbage. All right? Maybe throwing that money at that. But, you know, for me, I guess my music like really sucks, you know, I don't know. But no support. Virtually no support. Thank you for some of y'all who have support. I really appreciate it. But in the grand scheme of things, hardly any support.
I mean, if you look at the music that the conservatives, Republicans prefer now, you'd have to kick Christ out and just talk about, you know, drinking beer and add a lot of cussing.
Well, no, they would argue that they would like, well, what about Bryson Gray? We love him.
He's not a Christian.
He's not a Christian though. Right? The people think that he is. He's not. The dude doesn't even believe that Jesus is God. Right? But they love him. Oh, we got credibility. We like that Bryson Gray. Or what's his name? Tom McDonald. Yeah. Is that his name, Tom McDonald? Oh, they love him.
Drinking beer and cussing and.
Right? Listen, I'm gonna put out a line of baby clothes where, you know, it's let the baby get started with being familiar with drinking and all that sort of stuff.
If you want success, that's the route you need to go.
You know, and I'm no sellout, y'all. I ain't gonna do it. You know, but like I said, just because your message may not resonate with you know, or be on the same frequency as left-wingers, doesn't make the message conservative. And it certainly don't make it Christian. Right? So, but that's what they go for. They go for that. And his music is you know, the music can be dark and profane and all that sort of stuff. But as long as you say something that just doesn't quite fit with the liberal narrative, oh, you're a conservative now. You know, but does my music get support? You know, and don't get me wrong, y'all, because I'm not trying to convince anybody to like my music. If you don't like it, you don't like it. You know, I got it. I just think it's kind of sad that, you know, people be talking about how they want more morality in the culture and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, the so-called party of standards and values that was supposed to be the Republican Party, that's long gone. Right? I still try to bring that to the table, man, but anybody care? No. But let's raise some money for this trashy woman who's just dropping the N-word and flipping off the camera and giving raspberries and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, she's a real classy lady. Yeah, it's like, oh, is she gonna raise her kids right? She's got her kid in tow, just cussing in this kid's ear, F you and dropping the N-word and stuff like that while she's got her kid in tow. Let's give her some money. Yeah, that's your Republican Party now, right? So, What was somebody saying?
Tom Johnson says, is the sci-fi sword Give Send Go still up?
No, it's there was no point in having it, y'all. For real, it was like invisible. But thank you for asking. If to get back into doing, okay, like I said, and thank you, because I would like to be able to do something like that. To get it going, y'all, I have to be able to connect with a developer. And it's not that I haven't given, I just had to take a break from looking, y'all. It's dumb. You know, it's like, for real, man. And I saw this years ago. Y'all know I've been at this for a long time. I saw this years ago. So seriously, one, I don't see any reason why we can't do this in the US of A, right? We can manufacture it here, you know, but at the same time, y'all, I know that this is going to turn into a problem if we do this through China. I knew that years ago,
Yep.
right? I knew that years ago. Y'all know it because I've been talking about it for years. So, but I'm able to connect with a developer who's like, yeah, man, we could do this. I can go ahead. We can machine this in my shop right now, right? It's because I know people do it who have an all-in-one machining, 3D printing. They can do it all, right? CAD it up and all that sort of stuff. I got the rough CADs for it and whatnot to make it work. You know, and somebody just go ahead and do the refine it, because I'm not an expert 3D modeler and all this sort of stuff. I can do a little bit, okay? You know, but have somebody come in and do that, man, we can get this thing knocked out, but you'd be surprised, man. It's like, and you'd be, one, when you try to connect with somebody local, you want to have eyes on it and stuff like that, you know, and check out the renderings. And to have those things in your area, from where I was, like I said, I was in LA for a little bit, but then I moved away. Like, you know, in, say, for instance, like in the Coachella Valley, we live in there, that stuff just ain't available to where you can have, like, you know, hands on it and stuff like that and be more, you know, connected to the people developing it, 3D printers or machinists and whatnot. It wasn't available there. And now here where we are also, that is also a scarce resource. So when I'm able to connect, even remotely, you know, if it's a wide, you know, array to reach around, or reach abroad, sorry, to be able to connect with folks. Because like I said, man, you want to be able to have that hands-on, you know, with the product and prototypes and how the renderings are coming out, you know, to see. And I haven't connected with anybody to do that, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't pursued it and looked for funding and things like that. God willing, that'll come about, and we'll get it done, y'all. Like I said, it works. It works. And then the other thing also too with it, folks, is that, you know, when you got to design, it works, and then people say they want to redesign it. I'm like, why are you trying? Because when they start redesigning it and stuff like that, that's going to take time. You got to clock up them hours. That's more money that you got to spend while they're trying to, you know, get their mind around it and redesign how they're going to do it. I'm like, you don't need to redesign it. It works. I put this thing together with some flipping duct tape and some PVC pipe and some guitar strings. Dang it. It works. Just as this janky crude prototype, the mechanics work. Why are you trying to redesign it? You know, have you tried it? What if we use magnets, or what if we use some CO2 cartridges and all that sort of stuff? I've been hearing that stuff for years. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? My ideas on this have evolved. I've gone through all that sort of stuff to see if that will work. It doesn't work. It has to, all these things have to fit a specific way to perform for one function to complement another function, another attribute of it. You know, but people, it's like you try to talk with them about it and they start trying to throw these different ideas. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not taking into account this aspect of the mechanics and this aspect of the features of what it needs to do. They do not consider those things, right? And so it's like, you know, and you just got to take a break. It's like nobody's listening. For some reason, I'm not able to communicate this idea to people of how this is supposed to work. They just ignore you and they say, we're gonna do it like this, and they start working to redesign it. And I'm like, but at any rate, y'all, to answer your question, yeah, it's still, you know, doing it. It's just the point of being able to find, you know, a facility where you're just like, yeah, man, I get you. Your design works. Let's just go ahead and do it, and not try to redesign it, you know, or try to get China to do it. And when I'm able to do that, then I'll be like, you know, or unless, you know, the Lord blesses us with a windfall, and it's like, here's your budget, man. Go ahead and get it done. You know, a lot of times money talk. It's like, look, I don't want to hear your redesign ideas. Bam, here's a grip right here. please design it according to the specs that I've done.
Yeah.
Right? Let's just go ahead and do this. But I don't know if I'm going to get that kind of support, because this era of Republican parties is too busy supporting, women who go around using the N-word. They've got money for that.
Lots of money.
And the economy sucks, right? But they got money for that. Trump, get this economy back on track. We can't afford eggs, right? We don't want that. Eggs are expensive. Who's this woman using the N-word? Man, let me give her some money, right? Like I said, we got to protect her white sanctity. That's where the Republicans are at.
To be fair, the other side of the argument is I have seen liberals coming out and doxing her. Yes, which that's the risk you run being in the country with the internet nowadays, and everybody's got a phone. But they're coaxing everybody to call CPS and saying that she shouldn't have these children, she shouldn't be a mother. They're trying to get her kids taken away from her. I don't believe we should be going that far either. I don't believe she's Mother of the Year, but I don't agree with them doing that at all.
Yeah, and once again, y'all, this is still the Democrat strategy, of virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Right. They gotta remember. They gotta make it look like that they're the champions for Black people.
Right.
She's a bad mother because she's and look at those Republicans rewarding her. Right. The Democrats, man, they know what they're doing. Yeah. Right. They know what they're doing. And unfortunately, you're gonna have a lot of Republicans that's gonna play right into it. And the Democrats are gonna be seen as the heroes or the Black community again. And it's like a lot of Republican voters, they don't understand the engineering, the conditioning that they have put on the Black community to get these kind of responses. And not only that, they've done a lot of conditioning on the Republican voter too. White Republican voters. You don't even know how deep they've gotten into the mainstream Republican voter's head. Don't even know, right? They're like Pied Piper, like mice following the Pied Piper. It's really what it is.
Yeah. Jay says, about Zo's product, my concern would be somebody filing a copyright or intellectual property claim.
On a sci-fi sword? Against me, or how would they?
Jay, do you mean if he was to take it to actually find an engineer who's willing to go with those specs and just make the prototype, that they could steal it somehow? Or
here's the thing. I did file for a patent on it years ago. Okay. And full disclosure, y'all, that patent did expire. Number one. Patents. Look, y'all, I have barely enough support, and y'all, please don't take that as me not appreciating your support or not valuing it. I don't have a lot of support. And I have barely enough support to keep the lights on. I don't have the money to renew patents and stuff like that. One. But here's the thing about patents and copyrights. One, I've got enough evidence to show that I'm the one. I originated this idea. The design is mine. I've got enough notary to be able to argue against somebody who tries to bust out on the scene and say, "Oh, I've done this." Like, no, I've got documentation and files to show that I've worked on this for a while and came out with the prototype a long time ago. One. Now, for some people, it'd be like, dude, that's not going to hold up. You know what? A patent really isn't either. That's the thing about it. You're going to spend all this money on trying to get a patent. Number one, before the patent is even secure, that could take years. And while you're waiting for the patent to be secured, somebody else can go ahead and just try to do it. And if they bust onto the scene with it, they bust onto the scene with it, and you still gonna have to wait a few more years before your patent is approved to even do it, right? I don't have that kind of money. and like I said, to even do that's past the provisional patent. To go ahead and do the patent, that's money, y'all. That's money I don't have, right? So trying to get a patent. It's not really feasible. What I just need to do is I just need to go ahead and get it done. It's not an easy thing to try to pull off. It's obviously not. If it was easy, like I said, Disney's got money. They could have done this a long time ago. Lucas had money. He's got money. He's still got money. He's got money. If he wanted to do it, he could have done it a long time ago. It's not an easy thing to make, obviously. But this knucklehead figured out how to do it. All right? It works. You know, but is there really the interest? And y'all, number one, I guess maybe the problem is because I wanted to put this thing on the market for the glory of the Lord. Right? I wanted to use this thing to cut my way into the culture with the word of God. Dang it. But I guess that's not really interesting to a lot of people. Nah, man, we don't care about your Jesus. You know, we don't want, man, if anything, it's worth it for us to not support that because we don't want you to ever be able to have a budget to be able to get your ministry out there. But that's my main incentive. I wanted to be able to bring this thing into the market as a means to help fund my production company. That would just be a stream of income for me to have this line of sci-fi swords to be able to sell. That's why I wanted to do it. It's to help to promote my media ministry. You know, get features and stuff like that made to promote the word of God. Yeah. But this era of Republicans, they don't really care about that. And of course, you know, promote conservative values based on the word of God. This era of Republicans, they don't care about that. That's not their interest. No. You know, it's only about the economy, jobs, you know, national security, stuff like that, which are real things are really important, but those things aren't sustainable on their own. Right? You have to have a stronger foundation than that. Yeah. That's why when you did have the economy and job market and stuff like that and border strengthened, that stuff got snatched up under you really quick, didn't it? Right? Because you have taken for granted the spiritual war of these things. Yes. You have forsaken the word of God that is the foundation of what it is to uphold true conservatism. Amen. Those things don't really matter, you know, to this area of the Republican Party. It doesn't really matter, you know. So now all those things have to be rebuilt, you know. Yeah.
Andy Keenan says, my older brother has 3D printers and 3D modeling expertise. He could possibly help.
Please email me through my website.
Where exactly does he email you?
Just if you go to bronzeserpentmedia.com and you go to the contact page, my email is there. Zo at bronzeserpentmedia.com.
Can you drop the link in there right now? Yeah. Bronze Serpent Media?
Yeah, y'all know the website, bronzeserpentmedia.com, Zo at bronzeserpentmedia.com. You know, it's in there.
I would, but I'm not allowed. YouTube will not let me.
If you even want to put your email in the comments section, that way it doesn't disappear in the chat or whichever, put your email in.
Andy Keenan, if you put your email in there, I'll copy and paste it for Zo.
Or come to the website, become a member. It's free. And because it just, you know, and come into the powwows and say, hey, man, I want to talk to you about the sword. But let's stay in touch. You know, we'll see if we can chop it up and get it done.
Amazing.
Yeah. Hopefully we can communicate on the ideas. Like I said, I got the idea, man. It works. Doesn't have to be redesigned or anything like that. And once again, I get it, man. A developer they're trying to redesign it so they can make it manufacturable. I understand all that. For me, y'all, I'm not trying to start this off as a big, huge operation. It's really a mom and pop thing of custom, you know, for the LARPers out there that want to get out there and, you know, do their cosplay and just people, you know, whether it's part of your props for your hobby or whether it's a toy or whichever. And actually, yeah, this can turn into a weapon too. But anyway, I got all that worked out, man. But so, what was I saying? But anyway, to do it, as long as, you know, somebody just understand, man, look, man, this is what it is. It'll work. And people trying to redesign it, I understand for manufacturing purposes. I get that. Man, this was meant to be something that, hey, if you got a machine shop and a 3D printer, and we can crank out a few of these, man, and there you go. Admittedly, an aspect of it has to be injection molded. It does have to be injection molded. So that's where the larger manufacturing would come in. It does need that. But in terms of the mechanics of it, you know, that's in the housing and whatever, man, that could be just machined. If somebody's got their own like machine shop and 3D printer, they got an all-in-one like something like that, man, we could do it in there easy. You know, it can be done. But like I said, you talk developer and they're trying to, you know, just full-blown manufacture, you know, like, you know, we got to go to China. No. Anyway, y'all, is there anything?
Before you sign off, you wanted me to remind you about Casey Thrain.
Casey Thrain, and and if you're tuned in, Casey Thrain, I just saw somebody like made a purchase at bronzeserpentmedia.com. I'd like to be able, like, every episode be able to say, hey, another person. It's where it just got bought. Okay, yeah, so somebody bought something. Yeah, good for you. But it's rare, and we're grateful for it. So Casey, thank you so much for stopping in and making a purchase at bronzeserpentmedia.com. And we really appreciate it. And we appreciate all of y'all, for tuning in, being the groovy, God-fearing Americans that you are. And so bronzeserpentmedia.com.
What should our takeaway be with this whole Shiloh Hendrix?
The takeaway is, number one, the N-word. It's not just a word. Okay, don't treat words like they're just words. Words have power. Okay, life and death, as the word God says, life and death is the power of the tongue. Didn't the Lord use words to speak? It's like, hey, let there be light. And light was able to return, to the earth. Get out of the way, darkness. We need light to get on in here. And he didn't say, let there be effing light. It's like he didn't need to drop anything profane to do it either, right? But words mean stuff, y'all. So that's number one. It doesn't, this is not a full enjoyment of the First Amendment experience to be able to say the N-word. There's a right to say things, and then there's whether it's right or not to say. It's like, wow, do you really feel like you're getting the most out of your First Amendment rights because you say the N-word? Or this thing about we need to go back to when people weren't so easily offended, and whatever. It's like, is that the thing that floats your boat? I just want to be able to. It's like the funny thing about it is that Republicans act like they're the party of accountability. Accountability. Well, but you want to be able to do things and not be held accountable for offending people, right? Yeah. Well, you shouldn't be offended by what I say. Well, they're holding you accountable for the insensitive and just tacky things that you're saying. As conservatives, we're supposed to be the party of standards and values, have a sense of restraint, decorum, and stuff like that. We carry ourselves differently. But no, the big thing to be a conservative is you shouldn't be offended. Meanwhile, conservatives are often the most offended people there is. Right? So, but look, I get it that, people have developed a really thin skin and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I totally understand. But this philosophy of people shouldn't be so easily offended, it doesn't really match with the whole thing about, holding people accountable, right? Be held, you need to hold accountability. Well, be accountable to when you say things that are destructive.
Yeah.
What, just because you get enjoyment out of saying it, it means there's nothing wrong with it? You're going to defend it because you got some sort of kick out of saying it or doing it or whichever, and nobody should have a problem with it just because you don't? That's pretty selfish. It's really inconsiderate. And then don't get me wrong, y'all, because the black community, y'all ain't got no room to talk. You celebrate using this word. You say it like it's part of your name, like it's your middle name or something like that, or you're addressing somebody else by their middle name. You want to act like, this is a term of endearment or something like that. Oh, that's just how we roll, because we be saying it, it don't mean nothing. But a lot of time, but usually when a black person gets the blood beaten out of them, or getting shot to death, the last word that they're gonna hear is the N-word.
Yeah.
As they're saying, that word with blood spilling hatred. So don't sit there and tell me that this word is like some sort of term of endearment. All right, no, it's a cursed, deeply cursed word. Forged in some serious hatred.
Indeed.
There's no word like it, y'all. There is no word like it. And what's worse is when you have people out there thinking, well, that white people can be the N-word too. The N-word is no, they can't. All right, that's one of the stupidest things out there. Is like white people can be N-words. So there's Shiloh. Shiloh is, she says, if this boy is going to act like the N-word, I'm going to call him one. And I guess this little boy was autistic or something like that. She just went off and just started calling it N-word, whichever. Right, but by her narrative, by her so-called philosophy, I guess she would be an N-word too, right?
Yes.
So she trashy. But the thing is, no, Shiloh's not an N-word, no matter how she's acting. Because this is what people need to understand before they be like, Mexicans be the N-word or Chinese people could be the N-word. If you're a trash person, you be the N-word. No, they can't. No. This is all you're saying when you say that a white person could be the N-word. What you're saying is, you white person, you wigger, right? The white people. If somebody if a person is going to try to call you the N-word, all they're saying to you is that you're as low as a black person. Because that's what the N-word was for. The N-word was a word designated for black people to remind them that you are property, you are not a citizen, you are a second-class citizen, matter of fact, you're not even human. That was the law. That was the rule of the day concerning black folks, called the N-word. That was for black people. So trying to say that there's white people who could be the N-word too. No, all you're saying, because nobody thinks about, when you use the N-word, y'all, nobody thinks about using the N-word without thinking about black person, right? You say N-word, you're thinking black person. Even if you direct it at a white person, what you're saying is you're as low as a black person. That's what that means, right? And these other people ain't gonna tell you that, man. Ain't nobody gonna break it down to you in a useful way and understanding what the implications of these things are in the culture, like you gonna hear right here. And that's why you ain't gonna hear it in the mainstream, because what I've told you is useful and true, right? You ain't gonna hear it anyplace else. You ain't gonna hear it from these token Negroes that are darlings of the conservative party, or trying to suck up to and trying to get their photo out with Donald Trump when they have their big meeting. They're gonna have their big group photo with Donald Trump. None of them told him anything useful. None of them, right? And they're not telling you anything useful as far as this narrative goes. Probably out there whistling the same tune. Oh, it's just a word. And I don't see any reason why we should be bothered with it. Yeah.
Yep.
No, there's a reason why the word does so much damage. Damage that they don't say. And you keep trying to go with this philosophy that it's just a word. And that's been the standing philosophy for decades. Has it gotten any better? No. Right? So, anyway, unless there's anything else.
The non-shadow banned content creators were, along the lines of what you just said, they were adding that this little boy probably heard the N-word from his own household before he heard it from this poor innocent white woman.
Yeah. And same with her, and same thing with her little boy. Same with
That's
her,
a good point.
She probably heard it from him from her first. And like I said, it's trash all around.
Yep.
Sorry, I mean, I hate to refer to people as trash, but hey, that's what's going on there. And but like I said, this woman is being rewarded like she's mother of the year or something like that, as she's sitting there cussing in this boy's ear and stuff like that.
Flipping people off.
Yeah, she's gonna raise her little champion too. So
I'd be afraid to. I'm sorry, if I was holding my little baby, I wouldn't be, I don't know, running my mouth like that and flipping men off at a park.
Yeah.
Unless if she had a bodyguard close by. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like I said, she might have been she's most likely a Democrat herself, so she might not be carrying.
I get Democrat vibes from her.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to share my perspective with you guys on these things. I hope you found it useful. And bronzeserpentmedia.com. Drop that buck in the bucket if you want to help keep your bro Zo on the go.
Tonight.
And tonight, I'll be on the Joe Messina Show. That's one of the reasons why I got to sign out here, because we're going to party over at the Joe Messina Show. Joe Messina, The Real Side, if you guys want to tune in, I'll probably hit there about 9:20 Central, if you guys want to tune in. All right, y'all. And for those of y'all who are believers, which I think most of you guys are, we'll see you in the Zopium Den tomorrow. Same time, same Zo channel, and all that other good stuff. All right, y'all. Bye.